If you're looking for power rackets, these two should be on your list. The Wilson Ultra V5
and the Babolat Pure Drive.
Which is best? Today we are pitting the two power rackets head to head. We have the beast from Babolat, the Pure Drive,
and the brand new Wilson Ultra 100.
As you can see, I'm holding the Wimbledon version of the Pure Drive. Its normal livery is, of course, the blue one behind me.
Which looks much better, right?
What, the blue one?
Yeah.
Well, I think the blue one looks better. However, the Wimbledon colour's been very popular, so maybe
we're
I'm wrong.
Maybe we're wrong.
Unlikely, but maybe. So of course these rackets, why are they going head to head?
Well, on paper, they are identical. We have two 300-gram rackets. They are both 100 square inch head sizes. They both have 16 by 19 string patterns, and they even have the same balance point, Joshua.
What is that?
320 mil.
So why are we even bothering? Are they just the same? Just pick it on colour and move on?
Well, despite what the stats would lead you to believe, rackets never quite play the same, do they? And in fact, the differences are often remarkable.
So the construction of a tennis racket is all about the layering of graphite layers, or carbon fibre layers is what they actually are. And the position that these are put in and the technology that is put in between these layers and the angles they are situated with each other is what changes the feel, the stiffness and the flex of a racket, and that is where these two should differ. The Pure Drive being slightly stiffer, the Ultra having some more flex and giving it, with Ultra's new, or I should say Wilson's new, SI 3D technology. So it is about the tech of the racket that changes the feel of the impact, and that is the biggest difference we should find between these frames. Babolat was new only a few months ago, has Flax Tape 2.0 in it, and Flax Tape 2.0 is at 3 and 9 in the racket, and it helps to dampen the feeling and soften up the feeling. Pure Drives of old have been very harsh, very stiff and hard to use. This version, slightly softer, maybe a small reduction in power, but a much more pleasurable playing experience.
Yes, and the Ultra, we have been promised more shot shaping. Essentially, what Wilson are saying is that the baseline should be the limit. You don't need any more power than you need to get the ball 78 feet down the other end of a tennis court. So they have spent a little bit of time tweaking rather than redesigning, adding a bit more shot shaping, so able to generate more spin, more slice, essentially giving you a bit of control back from the flex and the construction of the frame.
Say shot shaping more. Before we get on court and put these rackets head to head, we must of course talk about the cosmetic and which one we prefer. If we're going Wimbledon versus Wilson, then I would say the Ultra probably gets it.
Yeah, but that blue Pure Drive over your left shoulder.
But we think blue Pure Drive better than blue Ultra?
Close.
I don't know, I think I would go, maybe it's because it's like recency bias, I think I would go with the Ultra.
Yes, one thing to note when you're watching these videos is that the rackets look incredibly different in the flesh,
yes,
and amazingly even different inside and outside. And we did find that the Ultra looks better out on court on a nice sunny day, didn't we?
We did.
There you go. So these obviously aren't the rackets we actually tested. Very hard to hit a tennis ball without any strings in it. We strung them both with Restring 0 at £50 and went and did our usual variety of tests, putting both of these rackets through their paces. Before we give you our feedback though, we need you to do something and subscribe. So, Joshua, what are your first thoughts?
Well, obviously we put power strings in both of these with Restring 0, which kind of made the power a little obscene. I was slightly concerned early on because I really liked the Ultra. When I first picked it up, and especially when I was warming up with it, I was like, wow, do I maybe like this more than my Pure Drive? However, as the playtest increased in length, and maybe as my timing and kind of rhythm got there and got moving a bit more, then suddenly the additional power from the Pure Drive started to shine through and reminded me why it is the superior racket in this choice.
Little aside for everyone watching, really important, because this almost always happens to us, doesn't it? We pick up these rackets, we use them, we think, oh, this is great, slightly worried about the racket we're actually using, give it 20 minutes, half an hour though, and no. What we always end up going back to what we know best. So it's important when you are testing rackets yourself to just give it some time. And I would say I would agree with you. Initially, straight out the gate, the ease of the Ultra, the fact that it's a little bit more control, the fact that it just tempers everything down a little bit, just makes it a bit more easier to just play straight away when you're cold. But when the tempo comes up, the easy access to power in the Pure Drive is significantly useful.
So let's go through our categories, putting these rackets head to head against each other, starting of course with what they are designed for, and the most important category of all, power.
And it's the Pure Drive, right?
It is the Pure Drive.
Just in sometimes.
Yes, it's a Pure Drive in a different way, and this thing that Wilson specifically mentioned in the Ultra launch pack, which was about the ability to have explosive power on both fast and slow balls. And the previous generation Ultra, which was a lot more Pure Drivey in its sort of stiffness, you could absolutely generate power on fast balls very easily, sort of counter-punching, but on slow balls was quite difficult to kind of get to grips with. This Ultra is almost reversed. It is now very nice to add power to slower balls when you're trying to accelerate, but when the ball is fast and you're trying to just maintain that power, you lose a little bit of stability where the Pure Drive kicks in. So when you're in those high tempo, high power rallies, the Pure Drive is an absolute dream. If you've got someone sort of moonballing you and slowing the game down and chipping, and you're having to really work to accelerate, the lack of spin the Pure Drive creates, which we'll come on to shortly, and the way it delivers power makes it hard to sort of maneuver around. That's where the Ultra kind of picks up.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are a player with a long swing who likes to generate their own power, then the Ultra is probably going to be an easier racket to use. If you have a shorter, more counter-punchy style, the Pure Drive is just going to be a little bit more accessible for you, I'd say.
But overall, when it comes to just pure out-there power, the Pure Drive gets it.
Yes.
1-0.
But when it comes to spin, things are reversed.
Yeah, spin, obviously, they both have 69 string patterns and 100 square inch heads, which opens up spin potential generally. They both do generate a nice amount of spin. The additional flex in the Ultra that's been added, the way it bends or horizontally flexes as you play up the ball, you can feel that and you can get a lot more shape, and you can play with a more vertical swing.
Yes.
And generate a lot more from it than you can with the Pure Drive. You play like that, it's a little bit too stiff and rigid for it.
Yeah, if you think about sort of low approach shots, little flicks trying to come in behind a slower ball, the added sort of maneuverability and whip you can get from the Ultra makes it quite significantly more easy to use than the Pure Drive. You overhit quite a lot with the Pure Drive, just it is a bit more cumbersome. Yeah,
so on spin, the Ultra claws it back. It is 1-1. Our favourite category, control. What does it even mean?
I'll let you take this one.
Control obviously is the antithesis to power. So if Pure Drive had more power, the Ultra must surely have more control.
And it does.
And it does.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always have to, because the types of shots that Racket can help you play kind of determines whether it is controllable or not. If someone absolutely lashed a 130-mile-an-hour serve at me, I would have more control with the Pure Drive trying to return it because of stability. But if someone dollied a 20-mile-an-hour serve over and I had to try and rip it past Rafa down the other end and put all my... then I would need the Ultra to add some control to that all-out power, and the Pure Drive would just fly.
Yes. From a more technical standpoint, the Ultra is going to provide a bit more control. If we had a matrix of power, spin, control, the Ultra would be closer to the middle, giving you a more realistic feedback. The Pure Drive is like a magnifier. It gives you more. The Ultra allows you to get more, but it's not sort of boosting you up. It's letting you do it. So there is certainly more control in the Ultra, but that doesn't mean you can't use this in certain situations.
Yeah, and kind of just in its basis, the Pure Drive is stiffer. The Ultra, with its flex and bend in it, increases the dwell time, increases the ball pocketing, which gives the ball more time on the strings, therefore giving you the ability to control the ball better.
And do you think that influences how these rackets feel?
Oh, what a great segue into feel and comfort.
So when it comes to comfort, what's interesting to me about both of these rackets is they are significant comfort upgrades on their own on their old versions.
Yeah.
both of these old rackets, the old Ultra, the old Pure Drive, I really disliked playing with. They were really stiff. Yeah, they were harsh. And I'm kind of, both of these are significant upgrades. I can't quite put my finger on which one I prefer though out of these two. I think they're very similar.
Well, I've got to say here that I have a slight concern with the feel and comfort being linked together, because if it came down to pure comfort, and if somebody was watching this video thinking like, oh, I want a power racket but I struggle with a bit of tennis elbow or my wrist or something, and I wanted to make sure it's as easy as possible, and I don't like Yonex, and these were the two that I'd got down to, then you'd be going towards the Ultra, because it has a bit more flex and a bit more give in it.
Yes.
But when it comes to the feel of the racket, it is more of a personal choice of what you like. Wilson described this as an explosive feel, and that is correct. That is actually what it is. It's quite crisp and quite sharp. When you unload the ball, you feel quite connected. The Pure Drive is, I wouldn't say muted, it's stiffer, more muted than the Ultra, that's for sure, less sharp, but you can almost feel the stiffness and the harshness. But those people who've used Pure Drive for a long, long time will understand that and will like that and how that feels on impact.
Yes, yeah, I completely agree. It's certainly personal preference. I would say if we just bring the E-Zone 100 into the mix for a moment, you say the E-Zone is like a big, soft, comfy power frame.
Yeah.
The Ultra is kind of like a maneuverable, like still stiff but less so.
Yeah, it's more control.
More controlling, but maybe you'd say like a sword or something. And then the Pure Drive is more like a club, right? It is like a baseball bat. If you or a cricket bat, if you're in England, a cricket bat, America, a baseball bat. If you get it out the middle and it's sweet, even though it's made out of a big hunk of wood, it still feels really nice. That's what the Pure Drive can be. Whereas the Ultra just feels a little bit sharper, regardless of what's going on. I'd say is probably the best way I can think of describing it.
Sharp like a sword, apparently.
Yeah.
So there you go. So comfort and feel, you can't really give it either way because it is a personal preference. I personally would say that I prefer the comfort of the Ultra and the feel of the Pure Drive. Pick the bones out of that. In summation, these two rackets are both new this year in 2025. They're both very good. They're both upgrades on their previous versions, but if you were having to pick between the two, which I assume is why you've watched this video to try and help you decide, which one would you go for? Ben, make your pick.
I think I'm taking the Pure Drive.
Whoa! I'm taking the Pure Drive, and I would be right on that train behind you. If you're gonna get a power racket, you may as well get the most powerful one. It's kind of obvious. However, before I get overexcited, if you were maybe a blade user, a pure strike user, a percept user, a speed user, and you were looking to add some power to your game, then maybe just a small step up in power to something like an Ultra, or still actually no, a significant step up in power, but not a crazy out of control, hard to maneuver, hard to handle Pure Drive would be the better solutions. If you're used to those power rackets, then Pure Drive probably pips it. But if you're not, but you're looking to move into the power range, that's where the Ultra is going to sit really nicely. I think there's going to be a lot of blade users who move to this. Yeah,
I think ultimately the Ultra is just a more sensible power frame. It's just slightly toned down, slightly more in the middle, easier to access, like you say, for people who haven't been using power rackets traditionally. Whereas the Pure Drive is just all out, hammer the ball as hard as you can and have great fun doing it.
Which is why it's strange that you think the Pure Drive, you'd still pick the Pure Drive despite being a sort of speed percept.
Yes, but you know that when I want to have a good time with a racket, and like you say, if you want a powerful racket, go all the way. There's something really delightful about not having to move your arms.
He doesn't agree with me very often, but there you have it, folks. The Pure Drive, the superior choice between these two power frames.
Just, you 100% need to give these a try. Both these two and the E-Zone, really good rackets. So don't take our word for it. Get out there, give them a test.
Absolutely take our word for it. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you soon. Thanks for subscribing and all that good stuff. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra!